Welcome to today's graphic design tip of the day. For today's tip, we're going into Adobe Illustrator to learn some more advanced techniques using the Illustrator Basics tutorials. So Illustrator Basics page 2 is provided in the description for this video. The first thing that you want to do once you open up this image is to lock its layer. So in your layers palette, make sure you click the lock icon just right next to the little visibility icon there. And we're going to make a new layer on top of it to start going through these techniques. The first one being drawing this more advanced shape that has both straight lines and curves. So using my pen tool, anytime that there's a straight line, I'm going to click and let go. You can also Control plus or Command plus if you are on a MacBook to be able to zoom in a little bit closer as you're drawing. Anytime that I get to a curve, I recommend dropping 3 anchor points, one at the start of the curve, one in the center, and one at the end. So we'll start this curve here. Now I'm going to have a fill coming on here, so I want to turn that off. Go to my fill color and just click the little slash icon underneath it. Pull that center. And that last one, so again, 3 points for each of those major curves. Same thing with this one. I'll start this curve, second one, and third. Then I'm back to straight lines. Pull that curve again. 3 for this outer curve again. Another curve here, so I'll drop 1 at the start of it, 1 in the center, and 1 at the end, and a straight line to connect back to the beginning. So that's how you create this into a vector shape by tracing it. I can use my eyedropper tool if I wanted to grab that exact color. So now a much clearer version of that same shape. The second one, we're going to start by doing something similar, but this time we're going to learn something which is the scissors tool to be able to cut your shape in half and move it apart. So if I was to use the pen tool, this one's much easier to draw since there's no curves. I'm just going to click around the outside edges here. Again, you want to turn your fill color off as you're drawing. Just anytime that there's a point, I'm clicking and letting go in between each of these points to connect back to the beginning. So here I have my vector K. But what if you draw something and you want to cut it into more than one piece? Great option is to use the scissors tool. Now, if there are not anchor points where you want to cut through, you will have to use your pen tool or your add anchor point tool to go on your path and drop an extra anchor point of wherever you want to cut through. If I was going to cut through there, I could use those anchor points. But if I want to cut this one straight down the middle, you can see I already have those 2 anchor points there. And you can see all your anchor points very easily by going to the direct selection tool, the white arrow key, and it should highlight all of those for you. So using your scissors, I'm going to click on that topmost anchor point in the center. You can see it's now highlighted orange. And now I can go to the bottommost anchor point in the center here and click on that one. It doesn't look like anything happened yet until I click on my move tool, my regular selection tool, and I can now pull that shape apart, and I could change them to 2 different colors if I want to. So I have that same shape as 2 different pieces. The next one is going to be recreating this path here using actual shapes. So using my rectangle tool and holding down Shift, I can stretch it into perfect squares here for some of these pieces to get started. Something like this that's a rectangle, I'm not going to hold Shift down because I can just stretch it and let go. Same thing with this bottom one. And if you do ever mess up, like part of it's not covered, just use your regular move tool and you can drag those paths out to match up exactly with the shape here. And my last one is a circle, so using the ellipse tool and holding down Shift again, I can stretch out that circle and place it right on top. If I do want the shapes to be the same color, of course I can use my eyedropper to grab that. If you hold Shift, you can select more than one piece at the same time and use your eyedropper to grab the color to change them all at once. So now these are still all individual pieces, I can still pull them apart. How do I make them all come together and be one? Well, I'm going to swipe over with my regular selection tool and grab all of them right here on this path. Another reason why it's important to have that background layer locked. And then I'm going to open up my Pathfinder. So under Window, you can go down to your Pathfinder if it's not open already and open that up. So I'll do that again just so it reopens. See Window Pathfinder, and you're gonna get this menu. There's a few options that you can use. The one that we want to merge all of these shapes together into one is going to be the first one. You can see it's the Unite option. So if I click on this, all of these shapes become one piece, so now I can't just click and move one, I'm moving the entire piece all together. It is all now one path, nice and easy to use. All right, and heading down to our last step here in our Illustrator Basics page 2 is to create a gradient on a shape. So we're going to do that by creating a circle using our ellipse tool. I'm going to drag a circle of similar size to this one that's here. And now instead of having just a fill color, if you look right next to our fill color option here, there's gradients. So if I change that to a gradient, it'll automatically be this grayscale gradient here. But if I double click on the color on the left hand side and change this to RGB instead of grayscale, I can either use my eyedropper to grab a color that's already in my page, or I can choose a color on my color palette that's provided here. Same thing with the other side, just make sure you change it from grayscale to RGB. And if I wanted to grab that exact color, I could use my eyedropper. But notice that my path is going across. There's a few options. I could put it into the center for a radial. It could be more of a free form, or I can go back to that linear gradient. But if I want to change the angle manually, if I go back to my gradient tool, all you need to do is drag right on top of your shape, and I can move it to the exact angle that I want it to be. So you can see I have a very similar circle to what I had provided there. I hope you enjoyed today's graphic design tip of the day.